Okay, so the last piece of our model here is we're going to explore how we build a set of stairs for our laneway suite. And our laneway suite is, a bit unique because it has a staircase that is a mixture. It's kind of a hybrid. It has a number of risers at the base here that are closed. So they have a closed riser as we go through the window here. And then we have a number of them as they open up where it's an open riser. This is still a closed stringer on both sides. And then, that partially closed riser at the bottom allowed this designer and the client to fit a piece of millwork underneath of it for probably storing shoes or incidentals. And then so that they didn't continue that millwork underneath, that allowed them to put probably some furniture, maybe a hutch, as the stairs are open on the bottom. So there are a number of ways we can build stairs. We'll kind of review a few different ways and kind of really emphasize the tools that you can use. And we'll kind of start just by drawing first the floor plate of what the stairs look like. So when I went to, my model here, I measured the distance of the floor opening in our floor. So if I turn the floor back on, I took with my tape tool, I measured my opening. My opening is 3'1". I then measured from the top of the floor plate down to the floor on the inside. And I got a measurement from there, and that gave you my height. So I have my height of my stair. So I know the total rise, and I know the width of my stair. The last thing I need to know to do this is I need to get the total run of the stair. So I got that from going to stack. I went to the the first floor. I did just a takeoff, just a measure for the offset. And I just measured across here, and I got 5.5 feet. So when I went back to my model, I simply just measured from the face of this opening here to the face of the inside wall, subtracted the offset, and I got my stair run. So for my takeoff, I got 13 feet. Okay, so what we're going to do is just draw that first rectangle. So I can draw a rectangle here, and I'm going to make that 13 feet by 3 foot sign 1. Oops, that's not correct. 13 feet by 3'1". Okay, so that's kind of the footprint of my staircase. That's what it's going to cover. So the next thing I do, just to give myself something to, and I can model this in the space. I find it's easier to build them off to the side. I'm going to give myself my height. So I've got 9 foot. In my model, the opening height is 9 foot, 2 3/4. So I can click on the corner, come up, and I write 9 foot sign 2 space 3/4. That gives me my height there. And I'm just going to fill this in. So I'm going to come across, match to that corner, come up, and come down. That's effectively the wall area that our stair is built against. Now, the other thing we know from our stack file is that this stair has 15 risers, and it says it's 7 1/4. That is the kind of the suggested height. When you work with a stair fabricator, they're going to do what we just did. They're going to measure from the floor of the first floor, top of the first floor, top of the second floor, take that overall height and divide it by 15. They won't build a staircase 15 risers by 7 1/4 because it might actually be a little bit short or a little bit high on that floor. So we know we have 15 risers. So I'm going to take this left side of my box here. I'm going to just select the outside line. I'm going to right click and click divide. And this is going to divide that line into segments. So because I know I have 15 risers, I need 15 segments. So I put in 15, I hit enter. So when I bring my cursor down this left-hand side, you notice nothing turns on except for the midpoint. The left-hand side is still one line segment. If I go to this side, every green is the endpoint. Those are now, that one side of that wall is now 15 separate segments. And that represents the height of each riser. So if I have 15 risers, that means I have 14 treads, because the last tread is really the top of the second floor. So I can take the same tool. I'm going to select this bottom line here. Select the bottom line. I'm going to right click, click divide. And you can see I can move my cursor back and forth to show how the actual segments work. So that is how I get 14, or I can just simply hit 14 and enter. And again, you'll notice when I move my tool back and forth on the inside, nothing shows up except for the midpoint right there. But now that I've segmented, it shows me all of my endpoints here. So if I measure that, my riser height is actually 7 3/8, so not that far off 7 1/4, but shows you, the difference of dividing the actual height. And my tread length is going to be 11 1/8. So that works for us. So one thing we do here now to figure out our tread height is I can draw just a line up from the base to that first segment. And then I can come, actually, let's do this. I'll take this outside line here. I'm going to select this outside line. I'm going to go move, so M, and then Control on a PC or Option on a Mac. That allows me to move and copy. And I'm going to snap it to this outside line here. So my endpoint. Okay. So I moved and copied. And now I want to have 13 more copies to get my rest of my treads. So I go times 13, enter. And that shows you kind of the footprint of all these stairs, like a big piano key. So one way you can build stairs is by dividing that area by the treads. And then I can simply just go and push pull. I can lift up the last one and mouse over to the end of that first segment. I can grab this one, come over the end of that first segment. Oops, that's the midpoint. You want to make sure you snap to the endpoints. So this is a really rudimentary way to build a stair, but it does work. So we basically segmented the floor plate into the treads, segmented the total rise into the number of risers, and now I'm just dividing. So I'm just extruding them all up as separate entities. I haven't grouped anything yet. We're just extruding the faces still. And this last one, we'll just change our view. There we go. So does this work as a staircase? Sure, it's kind of rudimentary, but if you had a stair, like a modern stair, it's all filled in, I could then just hit the erase tool and just click and drag across those lines. It'll just erase those for me. So for a basic staircase, that does work. It is our total rise and run. And if I drag that into space, it will fit just fine. Okay, and I can delete this overall height here. So that kind of works, right? It's just a big block for us. And you notice that because it's not filled in here, just heal it. So line tool, click and close it, and it'll fill itself in. So that's one way we can do that. And that works okay. The other thing we can do is we can again start with our base plate here. So let's go 13 feet by 3 foot 1. I can again take my segment tool and I can select here, right click, divide that by 14. And then I can take my total height here, line tool, come up and go 9 foot 2 3/4. And I can divide that by, we'll divide that by 15. Okay. So rather than build it as and divide all the lines at the base, I can simply draw in the first tread. So if I take my tape tool and I come over and snap to that first line, snap to the outside there. And if I take my tape and come up and I snap to that first tread. Then I can use my line tool and come up from the corner over to here. And I get the outside of that corner. I can close that with a rectangle. And that gives me my first tread. So I've just taken the total run, divided it by my tread number, total rise divided by my rise number, or my number of risers. And then I've drawn a rectangle in to give me that first step. Right. So from there, I can take that box and I can extrude it over to here. I can then select, I don't need this anymore. I can select this box. I can make it a group. And then I can take this box, I can move tool, option on a Mac or control on a PC to move and copy. And I can click, I could keep and click there. And if I want to have more, I could do again, move option or move control and copy again. Or I can simply take that box again, come across, so hit P, come across. Just select the box here. Sorry, let's actually group that first. Let's do that one, shall we? Rectangle, close, right click, make group. Extrude that over. Do this cleaner. So select that group, move control on a PC or move option on a Mac and click up. And if I want 13 more of those, I just go times 13 and I get the rest of that staircase. It gives me an open kind of stair. So that could work for me. It's another way of doing it. The issue with this is if I want to go in here and change anything with this staircase, and I want to draw in let's say a nosing that projects, and I'd select that first stair, I'd edit the group, I'd use a tape tool and come down by 1 inch. I can then draw the line of the nosing, and now I've subdivided that face. I can select, click, and come out, 1 inch. But you notice it doesn't change any of the stairs above. So I would have to do that to every single stair because each stair is its own separate group. So pretty inefficient as a way to do that. The thing about components and why they're really effective with stairs is when we make any change to one of the stairs, like this first one, it'll replicate over the whole group here. So instead, let's take this one group. I'm gonna move and copy and just move this over here. Let's get rid of these guides. So now I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this stair, right click, and make a component. I'm gonna call this tread. Let's call this a closed riser tread. So click OK. So now this is a component. And what you'll notice is when I go to move and I go to copy and I select from the base there and set it on top of my riser right there. Again, I can hit multiply. So multiply 13. And it's going to move and repeat that copy 13 times. So now I have the staircase, and this looks identical to that first group, that first component. But when you make a component, these are basically twins of each other. So if I say, you know what, actually that nosing is not going to be 1 inch, it's going to be ½ an inch. When I select that face, you see how it actually toggles on the face of all the other components? So they're all the same. So if I push that face back, even just ½ an inch, so 0.5. Sorry, we're going to go back ½ an inch. You notice that it changes all the rest of them. So if I drag those in and out, or even I want to set it back flush again, you know, I want to have I want no nosing on this. I can delete that, and it's going to copy that over the rest of the group. That becomes really effective when we're doing stairs. And you built it as a simple box first. You know what? I do want a nosing. Select that first component. Hit that tape tool, come down 1 inch, then draw a line across the face to subdivide the face. Sorry, tape tool, come down that face 1 inch. Line tool, subdivide the face. And when I do this, it's going to draw a line on each and every one of those. Okay, then I can select that little segmented face area here. Push, and then come out 1 inch. So that works pretty well. If I want to make this first step a bit wider, because let's say it's an entry step, if I select the side of the stair and I want to push it out, even let's say even 4 inches to pick up a railing, it's going to drag the rest of the stuff above me. So if I just want to make that one stair wider, I can select the bottom tread, right click, and make unique. And now this one is going to be unique to the rest of them. So if I select the face again, I want to make it wider. So push, come out. You notice now that it only is going to push that bottom tread because I made it a unique component of that tread style. So again, pretty rudimentary way to make a set of stairs, but it does make a set for us here. So that kind of works okay. So this kind of works if you're kind of modeling to see how they fit in the space. But it doesn't yet have stringers, and we don't yet have any open risers here. So let's kind of do that now. So I'm going to go back and turn off these guides. Let's just copy this this base component down here. So I'm going to go move and option. Move that over. So if you're starting from scratch here, you'd make your base plate. You divide it by the number of treads you have. You'd draw a line up for your total rise, divide that by the total number of risers. You draw that first box here to get that first tread, make it a group, bring it over, and then make it a component. Okay, so let's move from that kind of step here. If the bottom, let's say 6 risers are closed, then we go move, option, come up, and we'll go times 6. So times 6. That gives us our first half. And then that leaves 13 more to be an open riser. So I'm going to click this one up top. I'm going to move it one more time to give me what I'm going to modify as my open riser. So move, option, come up. And this one I'm going to make unique because I want to actually make it different than the rest. So I'm going to right click. We're going to go make unique. We're going to push that face back out again because I don't want it to have a recessed. I'm going to push this back out to there and get rid of that line. And you know, the idea of an open riser is that the tread's a bit thicker because it has to support itself. Oh, we got stuck in here. The tread has to support itself. So this tread, where the nosing on a normal stair is usually about 1 inch, we're going to make this 2 inches. So I'll set a guide and come down 2 inches, and I'm going to push that bottom up to 2 inches there. So now I've effectively created a floating riser in place. And to get the rest of my staircase, I'm going to grab that group. We'll delete that guide. I'll go move, copy. Now, because these stairs are built, you know, within the same relationship, if I move and copy from that bottom corner, it's going to place that next tread in the right spot. So click that, and I want 6 more. So times 6. Okay, so you notice I'm still lining up the rest of my staircases, all the ones I built so far. But now I've got some closed risers in the bottom, some open risers on top, And the last thing I could do is, if this was a floating staircase where the stringers actually, the threads stick out from the wall, I could copy this in as it stands. But I want to show you how we can actually add a stringer on the side to close this in as you find on your own model. So what we're going to do here is we're going to, let's group these bottom stairs. So group those together. We'll group the upper treads. We'll group those together. Okay. And then we're just going to draw a line on the face. So I'm going to go from this bottom corner down here right up to the top. So that's going to give me the angle of my tread, angle of my stringer. And because the stringer runs into the face of our stair opening, I'm going to bring a line up, click on that end. And you notice here, when I've got an angle, you've got the green plane, blue plane, red plane. If you mouse back and come forward, it's going to continue the angle of that stair tread, that stair stringer. So I'll come up and click on edge. Okay, so now that's the bottom of my stair. So let's go down and find the bottom. So most stringers will start from that bottom tread. We're going to click there. And we're going to come up here. Oops. And if I mouse up to that top corner and come down, it's going to snap and find the angle for us. So come up, come down. It's going to highlight in pink once we get it. Well, it's not doing it for me. Let's just change our angle here. There we go. I can bring that in, close that in. Okay, so now I've got the side of my stringer there. At the bottom, I'm just going to close that in. So line tool, bring it down, and then close that. And it hasn't healed yet. So sometimes if you have an issue with it actually closing in and making a surface, we can check to make sure that we've actually snapped the same plane. And then sometimes it needs to be healed where we draw a line in on the object. There we go. So sometimes it just wasn't closed here. Okay, so that's our stringer here. And I'm going to just select that face, push. Actually, why don't we group this now? So double click, right, my group, push, push, and let's bring it out 2 inches for our stringer. So that kind of works okay for us. Now, the one thing this does is if I were to move and copy this stringer, so select M, Option on a Mac, Control on a PC, and bring that over, my total width of my stair is wider now than 3'1". It's now 3'5". So this is the advantage of having components is I'm going to make these stair treads 4 inches skinnier. So I'm going to select that component, select that face, push, and I'm going to push that in 4 inches. So big difference here between groups and components is an edit to one edits them all. I'm going to push that upper one in 4 inches. So now when I take that bottom, I go move option and bring that tread over. Sorry, stringer over. And snap to there. It matches my width, 3'1". I can group those together, make a group. And if I bring that back to my model here, then I would just move that. So move option, make a copy. I'd stick that into my model here. So if I snap it to my other one, you'll see that actually it fits. Let's go right there. So it's identical to the one previously. The only difference up here is the stringer is a little bit proud of the floor. The tread is right height. It's continued too high. So if I select that group, let's actually turn off. I'll turn off my old stair that's underneath of here. Okay, so there's a new stair I've got. Turn off my old one. You see here that the stringers are too proud. So I'm just going to select the side. I'm going to edit the group because I haven't made these as components. I've only grouped. I'll just draw a line tool and come across flush from the top of that floor. Sorry, I'll show that to you. Line tool, click on the top of the floor, find the red axis, come across, and then I'm just going to push that out of the way. Right, so a lot of stringers are kind of clipped at the top as I hit that floor. So I'd repeat that on the other side, and then my stair is going to meet that flush. Right click, edit group, line, click, go across, select that little face. There we go. So going back to our little model over here, really the thing that we want to use when we do stairs is learning how to use the segment tool and then building components of our treads. The only other way we can build stairs I can show you that's a bit simpler too is this last method here. Okay, so this last one uses all the tools we've just used. So I'm going to draw another box and I'm going to go 13 feet. So 13 is my total run by my width, which is 3'1". So do that again, rectangle, 13 feet, 3'1". Okay. Then I need my total rise. And in my case, it's again, as I said, 9 3/4. So I'm gonna go up 9 foot sign. Sorry, 9'2" 3/4. So space 3/4. Right. Let's close this in so we can have our representative wall here. So I'm gonna mouse up. Let's change this view. There we go. Go down, reference the line, move up. And just close that. Okay, so that's kind of the wall we're filling. Again, select, right click, divide. We've got 15 risers, so divide by 15. I'm going to take my run, right click, divide. That means I have 14 treads. Use my tape tool here to find that tread. I'm just going to draw in the tread, so draw a line up to the top and draw it over to this point. Then I can just select those two lines, move, and copy. So move Option Mac or Control PC. So I'm going to grab from the bottom corner, move it up to the top of the tread. Now I'm going to repeat that 13 more times. So times 13. Okay, that's going to draw in the rest of my stair. Then all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that face I just drew and I'm going to push it over to the outside. Delete this, what's left of this wall segment. So I can select delete, or I can go E and just erase these segments. So this looks a lot like the first staircase that we built, just a big block. Okay, I can heal this edge, fill it in. But if I want to make this kind of, skinnier and actually give it the bottom of a stringer, what I do is I come in here with my line tool, and I'm going to mouse down from the front of that first or that second riser. Riser. Mouse down and start right there. That's where our stringer is going to start, right there. So start there. And I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to come up to the top of this stair. And the top of our stringer is flush to the top of that last tread. So mouse to there, come back and click. Okay, so now I've kind of drawn on the side of my stringer. I'm just going to select that face, push tool, and push it out of the way. So you can see it here. So get rid of it right to there. So create a nice little stair, delete that top line. I can select the whole thing and group it. And, so again, that's another way to make a stair using the same tools. So we are simply taking the overall footprint, dividing it by the number of treads, taking the height, dividing it by the number of risers, either drawing on a simple square for a box stair, and then extruding it sideways, and then moving, copying it. We could draw on that box, make it a component, moving, copy it, the number of treads we need, and then add the tread to itself. We can do the same thing where we move and copy it from the number of treads we need, and then make it unique to make an open riser here. And then, draw on manually and make the stringers. Or again, this really, really simplistic stair where we've done the same thing. We've taken the floor plate, divided by the tread number, taken the height, divide by the riser height, taken just that outside line and moved and copied it, and then drawn the stringer on and extruded it. That's all we've done here. And I could take this same stair and move it over, and it would fit in our model. So take a stab at drawing stairs. Really, components unlock many things. Stairs are one way that they really exhibit it really well. And try it out. Okay, thanks.